So I'm going to try doing this while I'm driving. But it's hands-free, so whatever. You know, I don't know. It's been 5 years since COVID hit. And a lot of people made a diary back then. I did. A video diary. Every few days I'd pull up the website that tracked cases and mortality, and you could go to any country, any city or state. You could go, to the nation at large, etc. And I'd talk about what I was thinking and how COVID was impacting my daily life. Those are the people that of the people I love, however you want to say that. I had a mom who was, she would have turned 91 later that year. Thankfully, she made it all the way to March 14th, 2021. So she got to see the second huge worldwide catastrophe, the first being the Depression. She was born in 1929. So here we have a new one, a self-inflicted wound, where 77.4 million Americans voted for Donald Trump, a convicted felon, sex abuser. He should have been on the registry, but, no. I guess maybe a lot of people thought, how much harm can a 78-year-old man do? And now we're finding out that the answer is a lot. Maybe I'll make another one of these. Maybe I'll post it on YouTube and the government will track me down and put me in prison, 6 months, 18 months, 2 years from now, with the database that Elon Musk has gleaned from his time ransacking the Social Security, the IRS, any database that he could get his hands on. Probably didn't know what he would do with the data, but he'll figure it out, since we've been collecting data and attaching it to our Social Security numbers for 4 decades now, since Ronald Reagan's time. So that's the preamble to what will definitely not be a happy post. When you try to think about how to analogize what's going on, the closest thing I can come to is a cancer. Cancer is not something that just affects one person. It affects every person that patient knows and loves and interacts with, sometimes in hugely meaningful ways and other times just on the periphery. Cancer metastasizes. Thank goodness it's not contagious, but it can definitely spread throughout your body. So if the nation is a body and cancer has attacked us collectively and individually, and it has the ability to metastasize, what does that look like? Every time you feel a lump, a thing that wasn't there yesterday or the last time you poked around on your body, whether it's, in your chest. I had one. I've got actually a couple. I've got 2 on my hip that I've played with for 20 years, pushing them around and wondering if it's going to kill me. I had one just to the left and about nipple high on my chest. I had a mammogram. That was an experience. Definitely not sexy. Luckily, after they sliced it out, they said it was benign. It was probably from an old injury, and it was scar tissue that had taken a while to reach my attention. But in this instance, we've got cancer that's very, very aggressive, and it's popping up in lumps all over the body. And just like cancer, even though you can touch it and feel it, you can experience this lump growing and spreading. Vast swaths of Americans are choosing to just ignore it, hope it goes away, or hope it's just benign. And besides, I'm old, it probably won't kill me. Science is being, first it was debunked, now it's being defunded, and now the actual scientists are being erased, like the Egyptians used to do when Pharaoh died and a new one showed up, and he would have their names scrubbed off of the temples and his name superimposed. By the way, the Egyptians collapsed, and now we have what is essentially, for all intents and purposes, a third world authoritarian regime in its place. I have no idea what the end game is here, but I do believe that pain, suffering, inconvenience, and economic collapse are all part of that plan. The ultra-rich in this country, the ones that have generational wealth, sometimes going back to the 19th century or even before, have always known that there's nothing like a economic panic to allow them to get even richer. The rich always have access to capital. That's why they're rich. The rich are a better debt risk than you and I in a downturn, because the lender has to lend money in order to make money. That's his job. But who do you give the money to? Well, you give it to the rich. And by the way, rates are super low in a collapse because they're desperate to lend the money out. Now, you and I can't get that money at any price. And that's why when we lose our houses, the rich are picking them up 8 cents on the dollar, 10 cents on the dollar, 5 cents on the dollar. A house sold across the street from my mom. It was on the market for $17,000. I think that the buyer got it for $8,500. That was a house that had been occupied and had been purchased by somebody not even 1 year prior for about $135,000. For reference, I bought my mom's house and then I sold it. I sold it in late June of 2022 for $170,000. That whole house sold for 5% of that 3 years earlier. The rich know what they're doing. And it's the ultra rich that caused this cancer. And we're the ones that are going to get wiped out by the treatment. You've seen people that you love lose their hair, lose their teeth, lose their jawbones, lose their kidney, lose a rib, lose breasts, lose all sorts of tissue, slowly carved off of their bodies because of cancer. And that is precisely what's happening in today's environment. And this is the very, very beginning of a plan that was hatched 5 years ago in a 900-page document that we all had access to for about 5 or 6 minutes. If you bothered to download it, I bothered to download the 27-page introduction. 27 pages. Holy shit. But the people that wrote that are now in the Trump administration, doing everything they can to break a 250-year-old democracy and sell it off to the low bidder, as long as he's got the right connections. And I don't say he by accident. This is by design. Owned and operated by white men. Don't drag out the odd person of color, the billionaire wife of a billionaire, so we can say that this is a DEI experiment, because they killed DEI as well. It's something that the country's never seen, and honestly the world has never seen. The closest we can come is you go back to the time of, I don't know, Caligula, Nero. Did those guys have syphilis? Were they insane? But they did actually destroy the empire. And it took a couple hundred years before the Visigoths sacked Rome. Or somebody sacked it. Who knows? Doesn't really matter, because whoever did it, they're gone too. And we have Rome today, which is basically exists. The grandest structures they have there were built 2,000 years ago. And it's Asians and Americans that keep that city alive with their tourist dollars. So anyway, I've rambled on. We've got a cancer. I have no idea whether we're going to survive. It doesn't look good. We'll come out on the other side. We'll probably still be called the United States of America, although that's not a given. But we'll see. Today's election day for a lot of people. Appropriately, it's April Fool's Day, 2025. Maybe I should have led with that. Elon was in Wisconsin or someplace handing out $1 million checks to buy votes. Back in November, he was handing out $100 checks. He figured it's more efficient to hand out $10 million checks as opposed to, I don't know how many, $10,000 checks. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see whether America has any interest whatsoever in pulling back on the reins and surviving this attack from within predicted by Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, that's about it. I'm going to edit out this chin stuff. Kind of wished I would have shaved this morning, but I didn't. So we'll see. Next time I do one of these, I may have aged another year. I like running my hand across the screen like that. All right, have an awesome day.